Dear friends, welcome to another episode of Geopolitical and Military News. In this video, we will discuss a statement made by Vladimir Putin in which he claimed that if the West authorizes Ukraine to use long-range weapons against targets inside Russia, NATO and Russia will officially be at war. On Wednesday, September 11th, U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken and British Foreign Secretary David Lammy were in Kiev for a high-level meeting with President Zelensky, where they discussed various important topics. Many sources indicate that among these topics was the authorization for Ukraine to use long-range Western weapons against targets inside Russia. No announcement was made in this regard after the meeting, with President Zelensky only stating that he is still awaiting authorization. However, this was enough for Russia to make several serious statements in response to this possibility. According to Dmitry Peskov, Vladimir Putin's spokesman, if Ukraine is authorized to use long-range weapons against targets within Russian territory, Russia will take what it classified as severe and serious measures, not only against Ukraine, but also against the countries supplying those weapons. This means that in practice, Peskov threatened to attack the United States, the United Kingdom, and France, the countries that provide Ukraine with long-range weapons. Just hours later, Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov also spoke on the issue, reinforcing Peskov's statements and stating that if Western long-range weapons are used against Russia, the Russian response will be in kind, hinting at an attack against the supplying countries. On Thursday, September 12th, Vladimir Putin also addressed the topic, stating that if Ukraine is authorized to use Western long-range weapons against Russia, the nature of the conflict will change, and the United States, NATO, and Europe will be directly at war with Russia. Putin concluded by saying that if that is the case, Russia will adapt and make appropriate decisions based on this new nature of the conflict. In other words, Putin, Peskov, and Lavrov have stated in their usual convoluted and verbose manner that if Ukraine is given the green light to use Western long-range weapons, Russia and NATO will be at war. But why is Russia reacting so aggressively to this possibility? And just as importantly, are these Russian threats real? Is the world truly at risk of plunging into a world war? Russia's reaction is perfectly understandable, as we are talking about highly lethal and efficient long-range weapons. The first weapon that comes to mind when discussing this type of equipment is the British Storm Shadow missile and its French variant, the Scalp. It is a large, heavy missile over 5 meters long and weighing nearly 1.5 tons, armed with a 450 kilograms explosive warhead. It is launched from aircraft and capable of hitting targets at a maximum distance of 550 to 600 kilometers, meaning that if launched near the Russian-Ukrainian border, it can strike important Russian air bases in the Moscow region. Its precision is impressive, and in fact, these missiles were the ones that hit and damaged a small Russian submarine in Sevastopol. The destructive power is also very high, with these missiles demolishing the headquarters of the Russian Black Sea Fleet in Sevastopol. Therefore, if Ukraine is authorized by the West to use these missiles against targets inside Russia, all Russian air bases up to 500 or 600 kilometers from the border will inevitably be hit and damaged, forcing Russia to withdraw its fighters and bombers from these areas, operating them from much more distant bases. Another precision weapon that Ukraine could use on Russian territory, if authorized to do so, is the HIMARS system, including its ATACMS missiles. HIMARS, in its classic version with high-precision projectiles and a range of up to 80 kilometers, already poses a serious threat to Russian bases and depots near the Ukrainian border. With the ATACMS, which has a range of up to 300 kilometers, there is also a risk to some Russian air bases closer to the border. All of these advanced technologies are deeply concerning and frightening for Russia. Therefore, yes, Russia's reaction to this possibility is perfectly understandable. Are the threats made by Peskov, Lavrov, and Putin real? Is there truly a risk of a large-scale war between Russia and NATO? An open and large-scale war between Russia and NATO is something neither side desires. If a member of the alliance is attacked, all 31 other members must intervene directly in the conflict, meaning that more than 3.5 million Western soldiers would face 1.1 million Russian soldiers, who, as we know, have been bogged down in a seemingly endless war within Ukraine for more than 2.5 years. For many analysts, if Russia is struggling to land decisive blows against Ukraine, which is only using some Western weapons, it stands little chance of success against NATO's full strength. Russia itself has acknowledged in various previous statements that if it is forced to fight directly against the alliance, NATO's numerical and technological superiority would force Russia to use nuclear weapons to avoid defeat. However, Russia is well aware that if it uses nuclear weapons, the response it will receive will also be nuclear. Putin may be an expansionist dictator, but he is not insane, which is why he will do everything in his power to prevent NATO from becoming directly involved in this conflict. As he has done many times before, he has drawn various red lines, which, once crossed, have led only to empty threats. What Putin and the top members of his regime are doing is more of the same. They are drawing red lines in the sand, which, once crossed, will be forgotten, with new ones being drawn further down the road. Russia's reaction shows how much Putin is concerned about the possibility of Ukraine using long-range weapons. But it is also clear that the Russians will not draw the full weight of NATO into the war, knowing that this would lead to a nuclear conflict whose result would be the defeat of everyone on the planet. Thank you for watching the video until the end. If you liked the content, don't forget to leave a like. This helps the channel grow and reach more people. If you didn't like it, leave a dislike and explain in the comments how we can improve. Also, comment with suggestions for topics we can cover in future videos. Insulting comments or those defending dictatorships or war criminals will be blocked without exception. Thank you for your understanding. If you're not yet subscribed to the channel, consider subscribing by clicking the subscribe button below and hitting the bell to receive all notifications. Thank you. See you next time.